Hello, I will be deliberating a lecture on the module named as Shamanism. The first section of my lecture will be dealing with the concept of Shamanism. In the second section of my lecture, I will try to enlighten you all on scholars' views on Shamanism. I will then deal with the concept of core Shamanism in the third section. The fourth section of my lecture will be the difference between Animism and Shamanism. This will be followed by the concepts of healing and Shamanism in the fifth section. In the sixth section, I will try to highlight the role of Shamanic healer. The seventh section of my lecture will shed light on Shamanism in different religions. Again, in the eighth section, I will expatiate on the concept of Tantrism and Shamanism. In the ninth section of my lecture, I will speak on the concepts of Shamanism and psychotherapy. Lastly, the final section of my lecture will be dealing with Shamanism in the 21st century, and this section will be later followed by a conclusion. Shamanism is an ancient healing tradition. It is a way to connect with nature and all of creation. The word shaman originates from the Tungus tribe in Siberia. Anthropologists coined this term and have used it to refer to the spiritual and ceremonial leaders among indigenous cultures worldwide. The word shamanism can be used to describe the ancient spiritual practices of these indigenous cultures. The word shaman initiated from the Tungusic Evenki language of North Asia due to the spirit workers present in their cultures. It was in the West after the Russian forces conquered the shamanistic Khanate of Kazan in 1552 that term was first introduced. It was the works of the Western anthropologist who first put into application the term shamanism. The Sanskrit word for shaman is shramana, referring to a nomadic monastic or divine figure. According to the Dance of the Deer Foundation, shamanism has different aspects. They are as follows. Number 1, connection with nature. Shamanism stems from nature itself. Shamanic practices tap into the power Mother Earth has to offer, and the ancient indigenous teachings are derived from the simplistic truths of nature. Number 2, healing of self and community. Shamanism is not only concerned with the health of the individual, but also with the health of the entire community. This includes all people, plants, animals, and all of life. Number 3, spiritual practice. Daily spiritual practice allows for continued and exponential growth of both body and soul. The goal being to create internal and external harmony with all creation. Number 4, pilgrimage to sacred places. Learning to approach and connect with sacred places is an intrinsic part of shamanism. By honoring natural wonders such as rivers, lakes, mountains and caves, we reawaken and invigorate the energy of the land. Number 5, vision and ceremonies. Ceremonies to honor the spirits of nature help promote harmony and balance. The path of shamanism never ends. It is believed that so long as these ceremonies continue, the world will go on. One could view shamanism as the universal spiritual wisdom inherent to all indigenous tribes. As all ancient spiritual practices are rooted in nature, shamanism is the method by which we as human beings can strengthen that natural connection. Different scholars have opined in their own different ways on the concept of shamanism. Michael Harner did a detailed study on shamanism as a practice. He opined that shamans are often called seers or people who know in their tribal languages because they are involved in a system of knowledge based on first-hand experience. Shamanism is not a belief system. It's based on personal experiments conducted to heal, to get information, or to do other things. In fact, if shamans don't get results, they will no longer be used by people in their tribe. To him, the practice of shamanism is a method, not a religion. It coexists with established religions in many cultures. Some anthropologists and religious scholars define a shaman as an intermediary between the natural and spiritual world, who travels between worlds in a state of trance. Once in the spirit world, the shaman would commune with the spirits for assistance in healing, hunting, or weather management. Ripinski-Naxon describes shamans as people who have a strong interest in their surrounding environment and the society of which they are a part. According to Iliad, 1960, the shaman is a specialist in archaic techniques of ecstasy. He notes, for example, that shamans among Siberia and Central Asian societies possess certain psychological features and capacities that render them apt for ecstasy, for going outside themselves, that is, going into a trance state. During the trance, the shaman's soul leaves his or her body and ascends to the sky or descends to the underworld in order to communicate with a variety of mystical beings, that is, gods, spirits, ghosts of the dead, demons. Roger Walsh noted that shamans have been regarded as everything from severely psychologically disturbed to virtual saints. Probably the prevailing mainstream academic view is that shamans are psychologically disturbed or at best individuals who have recovered from a significant disturbance. Devereux viewed that shaman has been regarded as mentally deranged and an outright psychotic. Whistler pointed the shamans to be a veritable idiot. Roger Wells, in his study, The Making of a Shaman, calling training and culmination, defined shamanism as a family of traditions whose practitioners focus on voluntarily entering altered state of consciousness in which they experience themselves or their spirits traveling to other realms at will and interacting with other entities to serve their community. This definition points to several key features. The first of these features is the shaman's voluntary induction of altered state of consciousness, specifically trance states that are phenomenologically distinguishable from those of both psychopathology and of other religious practices. The second key feature is that in these states, shamans experience themselves as souls or spirits that leave their bodies and journey to other worlds or realms. Hence, the various names that have been given to this shamanic technique include soul flight, spirit journey, and cosmic traveling. This experience bears obvious similarities to contemporary reports of some out-of-body experiences that can occur either spontaneously by deliberate induction or in lucid dreams and near-death experiences. The English historian Ronald Hutton identified for definitions of shamanism. The first one refers to anybody who contacts the spirit world while in an altered state of consciousness. The second dimension of the definition of shamanism refers to those who get in touch with the spirit world while being in a transformed state of consciousness at the request of others. The third definition points to distinguish shamans from the other magico-religious experts who are supposed to connect with the spirits, such as mediums, witch doctors, spiritual healers or prophets, by asserting that they assume some unique method which are not used by the others. Lastly, shamanism is referred to the native religions of Siberia and bordering parts of Asia. Let us now view what does the concept of core shamanism deal with in the next section. Core shamanism consists of the universal or near universal principles and practices of shamanism not bound to any specific cultural group or perspective, as originated, researched and developed by Michael Harner. Since the West overwhelmingly lost its shamanic knowledge centuries ago due to religious oppression, the Foundation's program in core shamanism are particularly intended for Westerners to reacquire access to their rightful spiritual heritage through quality workshops and training courses. Core shamanism does not focus on ceremonies such as those of Native Americans, which are part of the work of medicine men and women, persons who do both shamanism and ceremonial work. Michael Harner writes in his latest book, Cave and Cosmos, 3 core shamanism consist of the universal, near universal and common features of shamanism, together with journeys to other worlds, a distinguishing feature of shamanism. Training in core shamanism is particularly suited to contemporary society and includes teaching students to alter their consciousness through classic shamanic non-drug techniques such as repetitive drumming so that they can discover their own hidden spiritual resources, transform their lives and learn how to help others. Core shamanism is related with the daily lives of the people. A few examples can be cited from the works of Michael Harner. A woman calls upon her personal helping spirit before surgery and feels calm and relaxed beforehand and recovers quickly afterwards with minimal pain. A shamanic practitioner uses her spiritual connections to locate a lost dog. A person undertakes a series of shamanic journeys to discover and clarify her life's work. A man is able to obtain emotional closure with his deceased mother after meeting her in the shamanic realm. By using advice received in a shamanic journey, a man is able to resolve a business conflict that had been going on for several months. The first and foremost rule in core shamanism is not to use shamanic knowledge to either attack, assault or harm or impair the others. Therefore, the main focus in core shamanism is to help and protect one's own self and the others. Animism is a way of looking at the world in which natural elements have special spiritual significance and importance. Some describe the tradition as the belief that everything around us has a soul. The practice of animism goes beyond one school of thought in a single region. Instead, these beliefs are expressed differently depending on the particular culture and people who hold this worldview in their community. The concept of animism has been developed by E. B. Tyler. The concept of animism has come from the word anima, which means soul. Many cultures that have animist beliefs also have a special role for a human being who can communicate with the spirit world. This person may have visions or may enter altered states of consciousness, like being in a trance. They may also perform other duties in society alongside their spiritual role. Anthropologists have historically labeled this person a shaman. The label of shaman has come to refer more broadly to those who engage in the activities mentioned earlier, such as having visions and entering altered state of consciousness to connect with the unseen world. Examples of animism are found in the Japanese polytheistic religion of Shinto, Hinduism, the belief system of pantheism, in which it is believed that God is the life force of all things, united, and each have a sharing in this. Inuit, Taoism, and Buddhism. The Bible mentions animism throughout when describing classical era civilizations during the time of Judaism and early Christianity. The central idea of animism revolves around the concept that innumerable spiritual beings concerned with human affairs are capable of helping or harming human interest. The worship of a certain deity or deities is absent, the focus being on lesser spirits than deities and these spirits possessing the world. On the other hand, an ideal shaman who does all of these functions is relatively rare, and shamans will usually specialize in a certain function. These shamans can be further divided into groups such as white and black, dealing with pure and evil spirits respectively. The features of shamanistic ceremonial dress and performance makes a visual appearance on the people using eccentric costume, makes an impression on sense of hearing through the ringing of bells and pounding of drums. Shamanistic symbols, icons, and other accessories throughout costume known to shamans and their believers are used and given symbolic meaning. Thus, shamanism and animism are traditional belief systems which stem from the idea that everything in the universe is alive and interconnected, and people should treat it as such. Roger Walsh opined that while the shaman's role may encompass many functions, their primary role is found to be that of a healer. A shaman is a healer who moves into an altered state of consciousness to access a hidden reality in the spirit world for purposes of bringing back healing power and information. Shamans believe that all problems, physical, emotional, or mental, have their root cause in spiritual imbalance. A shaman works to restore balance and wholeness by addressing the root cause of the problem. Many methods are used in shamanic healing, including soul retrieval, retrieval of a spiritual ally, removal of unwanted energies, soul remembering, ancestral work, psychopomp, that is helping the deceased to cross over into the light, and hands-on healing. The Encyclopedia of Shamanism notes the fact that shamans are no more likely than are specialists of any other medical or religious system to affect physiological, psychological, and social changes so comprehensive that any patient could ever be considered completely healed. Throughout the world, The capacity to heal was traditionally seen as resulting either from power of office, as by priests or kings, or by a sacred commission or special gift. Both of these traditions were combined in the role of shaman, whose position within the social system of most cultures was well defined, a result of apprenticeships and rigorous training, but who nevertheless frequently claimed a special calling to the profession, often with a privileged relation to particular spirits. This relation was often manifested by suffering illnesses attributed to those spirits before agreeing to become a shaman. Shaman healing rituals traditionally rely on oral text, chants, or songs, telling stories of the creation and of the relation between humans and spirits. Shamans recite myths of the origins of worldly disorder and histories of malevolent forces, stories that explain why people suffer, grow old, and die. They tell of extraordinary events and exceptional healers, list symptoms attributable to different agents of affliction, identify where those agents may be found, and explain how they may be placated. The relationship of these myths to healing was first examined by Claude Lévi-Strauss in his 1949 article, The Effectiveness of Symbols. Lévi-Strauss concluded that by a shaman's recital, conflicts and resistance are resolved. Shamanic healing often acknowledges the claims of the person who is seen as causing the illness, illness becoming an index of social relationships. Some sources, such as dead ancestors, may need to be placated and bribed. Still others, such as witches or other shamans, must be threatened and punished. Negotiating on a patient's behalf with dead relatives who remain troubled by unresolved family issues and social dilemmas is another form of shamanic intervention, because this knowledge makes possible a specific experience, in the course of which conflicts materialize in an order and on a level permitting their free development and leading to their resolution, one in which the social aspects of shamanic healing are made clear, particularly its useful contribution towards healing grieving. Individuals may seek shamanic healing for many different maladies. If they are living within a shamanic culture, shamanic healing is typically part of a multidisciplinary approach used for any disease or imbalance, in partnership with physical healers, botanical medicines, changes in diet, and other therapies. In contemporary Western society, shamanic healing is unfamiliar to most non-indigenous individuals. Despite that, people are finding their way to contemporary shamans for all types of health challenges, but especially when they are not making satisfactory improvements with conventional approaches. The perspective on individual disease is different in shamanism than in the conventional medical view. In a shamanistic view, similar symptoms or disease do not stem from the same underlying root energetic problem. Community disharmony often manifests in individual illness. Any illness may have a significant underlying spiritual or energetic issue, regardless of the form in which that illness manifests: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, or relational. Certain illnesses are more likely to have a spiritual component that may respond to shamanic healing techniques. These include psychological diagnoses like depression and anxiety, autism, and addictions. Illnesses that manifest physically may still have significant spiritual underpinnings. Shamanic healing work requires two distinct phases. The accurate diagnosis of the seen and unseen energies at the root of the problem, carrying out the specific choreography of energies needed to resolve the problem. Shaman may serve by removing energies that are inappropriately present or by returning energies that have been lost. This includes soul recovery to accomplish healing via the return of the lost parts of the soul. When an individual is living within a community that supports such work, there is time and support for the integration and processing that an individual must do to complete most healing processes. In contemporary society, the shaman and the client must create the resources and structure for the individual to adjust to the shift in internal energies. Thus, shamanism and healing are interrelated to each other. Let us see how the shamanic healer performs the healing activities through his unique roles in the following section. A shamanic healer plays a vital role in the lives of those people who go to seek for healing from the shamans. Shamans claim to gain knowledge and the power to heal by entering into the spiritual world or dimension. Most shamans have dreams or visions that convey certain messages. The shaman may have or acquire many spirit guides who often guide and direct the shaman in his or her travels in the spirit world. These spirit guides are always present within the shaman, although others only encounter them when the shaman is in a trance. The spirit guide energizes the shaman, enabling him or her to enter the spiritual dimension. The shaman heals within the spiritual dimension by returning lost parts of the human soul from wherever they have gone. The shaman also cleanses excess negative energies which confuse or pollute the soul. Shamans may have various kinds of paraphernalia in different cultures. Drum. The drum is used by shamans of several cultures. The beating of the drum allows the shaman to achieve an altered state of consciousness or to travel on a journey between the physical and spiritual worlds. Much fascination surrounds the role that the acoustics of the drum play to the shaman. Shaman drums are generally constructed of an animal skin stretched over a bent wooden hoop with a handle across the hoop. Number 2, feathers. In numerous North and South American cultures, as well as in Europe and Asia, birds are seen as messengers of the spirits. Feathers are often used in ceremonies and in individual healing rituals. Number 3, rattle. Found mostly among South American and African people. Also used in ceremonies among the Navajo and in traditional ways in their blessings and ceremonies. Number 4, gong. Often found through Southeast Asia, Far Eastern people. Number 5, pipe. Used for smoking various tobaccos and psychoactive herbs, that is tobacco in North and South America, cannabis in Eurasia. Number 6, sword. In Hmong shamanism, a holy sword will always be used in the practice to protect the shaman from wandering evil spirits as he travels to the spirit world. Number 7, shake. Found mostly in Hmong shamanism, the shaman begins his practice by rattling, which turns into a shake. It is the process of communicating with his shamanistic spirits to guide him to the spirit world. Number 8, long table. A flexible wooden table, approximately 9 by 2 feet, is used in Hmong shamanism. The table transforms into flying horse in the spirit world. Number 8, rooster. A rooster is often used in monk shamanism. A shaman uses a rooster when he journeys to the unknown. It is said that the rooster shields the shaman from wandering evil spirits by making him invisible. Thus, the evil spirits only see the rooster's useless spirit. In some societies, one becomes a shaman by passing through stages commonly related by many myths. These stages may or may not involve torture and violent dismemberment of the body, scraping away of the flesh until the body is reduced to a skeleton, substitution of the viscera and renewal of the blood, a period spent in nether region or land of the dead, during which the shaman to be is stalked by the souls of dead shamans and other spirit beings, an ascent to the sky realm. Therefore, it can be surmised that the role of a shamanic healer is filled with lots of rituals and practices which are related to the plate's tradition along with its associated myths. There are different religions in the world. In most of the religions, the notion of shamanism is found in some way or the other. The major religions of the world and their practice of shamanism is noted underneath. Shamanism in Hinduism. Hinduism is one of the ancient religions in the world whose origin dates back to time unknown. There are different healing practices associated with the Hindu religion. In Hinduism, the practice of yoga plays an integral role. One can note that shamanism and yoga are widely related to each other. Shamanism and yoga are spiritual practices originally found in Siberia and India, respectively. While shamanism is practiced in various forms worldwide, traditional yoga is mainly found in Southeast Asia. Shamans are religious healers and miracle workers who may appear to be possessed by divine spirits. They are perceived to have power within the realm of the invisible and thus have powers outside the mortal world of average human beings in comparison. The practice of yoga is based upon the philosophy that seeks integration of one's true self, that is Atma, and the absolute, that is Brahma, through rigorously self-disciplined psychophysical techniques and practices. A great yogi has ultimate devotion to their discipline, and certain yogis are considered spiritual masters. Yogis are self-helping spiritual beings due to the fact that they seek liberation, that is moksha, through meditation. In both shamanism and yoga, extreme heat is obtained by meditating close to a fire or by retention of breath. Noteworthy to state, respiratory technique and detainment of breath were crucial components during the organization of ascetic practices, magical, mystical and metaphysical techniques in the practices of shamanism and yoga. Thus, shamanism is an integral part and parcel of the healing mechanisms present in Hinduism. Shamanism and Islam. Zarkon and Hobart noted in their seminal work Shamanism and Islam, Sufism healing rituals and spirits in the Muslim world, that the figure of a shaman has always been a prominent motive within the Islamic world, particularly in relation to the mystical domain of Sufism. They have brought together a vigorous and authoritative exploration of the link between Islam and shamanism in contemporary Muslim culture, examining how the old practice of shamanism was combined with elements of Sufism in order to adapt to wider Islamic society. This Islamized shamanism, covering the geographic areas of modern-day Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, northern Afghanistan, the Turkoman province of Iran, and the Uighur district of Xinjiang province of China is analyzed through its rituals, representations, and modern manifestations. Secondly, the book explores the examples of healers from different parts of the Islamic world outside Central Asia, from Iran to Turkey, and from Algeria to the suburbs of Paris. Using healing rituals, they are extremely similar to those performed in Central Asian Islamized shamanism. Shamanism and Islam draws out the parallels that exist throughout the Islamic world and the close relations between shamanism and Muslim mysticism. Exploring the complexities and variety of rituals involving music, dance, and in some regions epic and bardic poetry, demonstrating the close links between shamanism and the various arts of the Islamic world, this is the first in-depth exploration of Islamized shamanism. The practice of shamanism, a technique, is one of the earliest revelations of Allah, the source, to the peoples of the earth. The shaman is one who journeys either in the physical body or in the astral, the soul body, into other realms, the hereafter, in order to gain answers to questions, seek guidance, or gain power to heal and help. Thus, the term Islamic shamanism indeed notes the integration of shamanic practices within Islamic healing mechanisms. Shamanism and Christianity. Bradford Kinney, in his influential work named as Shamanic Christianity, the direct experience of mystical communion, viewed that there are four sacred corners of the Christian shaman's mystical cross: the ecstatic life force or Holy Ghost power, Kundalini; spiritual vision, creative expression, absurd experience. The Christian shaman loves all the religions of the world and feels free to play with them in the trickster way. This includes the unwritten religions and the unspoken traditions. Hopel pointed out, Jesus is considered to be the one who is believed to be involved with many shamanic roles, such as number 1, spiritual leader as well as acting guardian of the consciousness of the people; number 2, leader of religious ceremonies; number 3, psychopomp, which portrays the companion of the souls; number 4, source of good fortune; number 5, healer as well as helper to the common mass who puts deep faith on him; number 6, a poet, singer as well as a performer of varied shamanic acts. Thus, Christianity too is interwoven with the concept of shamanism. Shamanism and Buddhism. It is easier to explicate why shamanism is a widespread practice in Buddhist societies if common misconceptions about the Buddhist tradition are dispelled. Although Buddhism is often called an atheistic religion, it is atheistic only in the sense that it is not based on belief in an omniscient and omnipotent God. In fact, as a look at the wheel of life showing the different domains of rebirth will easily demonstrate, Buddhists believe that gods, demons, ghosts, and many other spirits exist, that they reside in heavens and purgatories, and that most supernatural beings can inhabit the human realm, affecting individuals. Shamanic traditions have existed and in places thrived where Buddhism has been the dominant culture, though their ritual practices have commonly been adapted to respect Buddhist ethics. Yellow shamanism is the term used to designate a particular version of shamanism practiced in Mongolia and Siberia, which incorporates rituals and traditions from Buddhism. Yellow indicates Buddhism in Mongolia, since most Buddhists there belong to what is called the Yellow sect of Tibetan Buddhism, whose members wear yellow hats during services. The term Yellow Shamanism was first introduced in 1992 by Senden Jav Dulam. In Tibetan Buddhism, both the Shamanic Tantric approach, that is visionary involving oral instructions from teacher, and the clerical monastic approach, that is discipline bound, textually derived meditation, have been woven closely into the fabric of religious life. The word Tantra is derived from two root words. Tan comes from Tanoti, which means expansion. Tra is derived from Trayati, which means liberation. Through Tantra, we are given tools to expand our consciousness and weave our perception of all creation as limitless and individuals as the divine experience. This expansion liberates our energy, increasing our potential on every level. Some tantric tools for transformation are meditation, visualization, the recitation of mantras, pranayam, that is breath practices, awareness exercises, devotional practices, and physical practices such as hatha yoga. On the other hand, the word shaman means to know. A shaman in that culture is a medicine man or woman who might perform healing both by physical means, that is herbs, massage, etc., and by giving spiritual means. Sylvia Breller notes that our modern day culture has adopted this word to describe techniques whereby the practitioner travels into the worlds of spirit to gain understanding of the nature of reality. People who are shamanic practitioners believe that the world of spirit interpenetrates our third dimensional reality, affecting all aspects of physical reality. By mediating between the realm of spirit and the realm of form, profound changes can be made that can affect not only our consciousness but the quality of our lives within the context of physical reality. Tantric shamanism activates our ability to move between the worlds of spirit and form in order to expand and liberate our consciousness, bringing us closer to a state of divinity. Similarities between Tantrism and Shamanism can be found in the areas of possession, ritual performance, and the local and secret nature of the transmission. The Tantric traditions incorporate vast mythologies as well as extensive hagiographic literatures. Here a rich corpus of legends and folklore is woven around famous Tantric masters and illustrates the ritual process and the parallel activities in the human mind. In these hagiographies, Buddhist and Hindu, the masters accomplished, magicians and perfected ones, Nuts and Siddhas demonstrate many abilities that may be called shamanic, such as the ability to fly, to become invisible, and to contact supernatural beings, often female, in order to gain knowledge and receive initiations. Whereas they regard their healing capacities as primarily spiritual, the shaman's work extends to the psychological and the physical. They may perceive a person's illness as being due to a spirit intrusion or use such techniques as soul retrieval to help with the sickness. Physically, they may attend to wounds, massage a client's body, and administer herbal medications. As such, shamans have been termed humankind's first psychotherapist due to some of their practices, which have been likened to skillful psychotherapeutic techniques. Even those techniques which aim at healing both the physical and the psychological may be considered psychotherapeutic, as the psychological treatments may be useful in the healing of many illnesses. Some contemporary psychotherapists may utilize elements of shamanic techniques such as waking visions, archetypal dreams, imaginable work, body experiences, and entering into altered states of consciousness. Thus, the shamans act as the best healers of the human mind. Torre has acknowledged more than a few features that fabricates client and client's anticipations, hope, faith, peace of mind, trust, as well as emotional stimulation. Thus, it is through the passage of time that a shaman inculcates experience within himself, thereby healing his client mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Neo-shamanism is a form of neo-paganism in which the practitioner fancies him or herself a bridge between the material and spirit worlds. Most neo-shamans know something about the popularized version of shamanism, but have done very little real study into the spiritual beliefs of actual shamans, instead focusing on spirit animals and vision quest. Despite the Manchurian roots of the word shaman, most neo-shamans describe themselves as continuing a Native American tradition. Neo-shamanism refers to a new form of what adherents call shamanism, a modern system of seeking visions or healing. Neo-shamanism comprises an eclectic range of beliefs and practices that involve attempts to attain altered states and communicate with the spirit world. Those who practice core and neo-shamanism object strongly to being included within a generic New Age category. Core and neo-shamanism are especially appealing for people on quest for transcendence and healing because they offer the potential for direct contact with the spirit world. Part of their inspiration is drawn from traditional shamanism, a term used here to designate shamanism practiced in a society over a long period of time and considered a continuous cultural presence. Neo-shamanism uses metaphorical images and idealized concepts of shamanism, which are often joined with beliefs and diverse rituals that have little to do with traditional shamanism. Modern shamanic spirituality as a whole is a democratic movement. Authority is vested in each individual because sacred knowledge is held to be experiential, not doctrinal. Individuals can create personal belief systems based on information gained from spirits during journeys and from workshops, literatures, and other sources. Therefore, today, shamanism survives primarily among indigenous people. Shamanic practices continue today in the tundras, jungles, deserts, and other rural areas, and even in cities, towns, suburbs, and shanty towns all over the world. Therefore, we can conclude by saying that shamanism is one of the oldest healing traditions of the world, which has existed among not only the tribals but also among other religious beliefs. Thank you.